This episode of Techno Buffalo is brought to you by Audible and my unnecessarily deep DJ voice. Up next on The Quiet Storm. Welcome everyone to another episode of Ask the Buffalo. I'm your host John Rettinger, and this is the show where you can ask anything you want from the wide world of technology. Up this week we've got Samsung's Nexus Prime, or presumably it's going to be called the Nexus Prime. We've got the iPhone 4S, we've got some upgrade questions, and we're finally going to answer how we came up with the name Techno Buffalo. Stay tuned. So if you want to submit a question to Ask the Buffalo, you can do it one of two ways. Every Tuesday we put up a post on the site, technobuffalo.com, where we ask you to submit your questions. You can leave them in the comment box and you're good in the hood. Otherwise, if Tuesday doesn't work on your schedule because we want to be friendly and considerate to you, you can go ahead and send a question using hashtag AskTheB to @TechnoBuffalo, and I will check it out. You've got a chance to get your question featured in Ask the Buffalo. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into question number uno. First question comes from Gerardo Esposito, who asked, John, would you recommend the iPhone 4S? Are the specs enough? That's a really subjective question. If you're coming from an iPhone 4, it's a tough one to justify. Siri is a nice feature, but it's not killer for me. The iPhone 4 ran fast enough. I don't necessarily think that the increased specs are important right now. Perhaps developers get a chance to put some of that extra core to use, then maybe it's worth an upgrade. If you take a lot of pictures with your phone, however, if you rely on your phone as your video camera and your still camera, then yeah, it might be a worthwhile upgrade. The change in lenses is more than just a 3 megapixel difference from 5 to 8. You add an extra lens, there's now all kinds of rear side exposure lighting, new aperture settings, and all kinds of technical camera stuff, which results in much, much better pictures. So it's up to you. If you're coming from a 3GS, then yes, it's going to be a personal decision. For me, from an iPhone 4, I am going to make the upgrade. All right, and keeping up with the iPhone 4S theme, our next question comes from user Sam Presti, who asked, will iPhone 4 owners get the Siri update in iOS 5, or is it only for the iPhone 4S? That's actually a question I've been getting quite a bit, and that's one that's really easy to answer. Siri, the voice assistant, is only going to be for the iPhone 4S. It's not an iOS 5 update, it's iPhone 4S exclusive. And if you had an iPhone 4S, you could push the home button and say, Siri, why are you only for the iPhone 4S? And it would say, shut the heck up, stop asking me questions. Or you could ask it whatever you want. I made a joke that someone on Twitter posted. If you hold down Siri and say, hey Siri, when's the Nexus Prime coming out? Then it really might yell at you. So, bad joke. Let's go ahead and jump on to the next question. Comes from user Greg Walden, who asks, John, I'm ready for an upgrade soon. While I love the specs of an Android superphone, I feel like the Android marketplace is lacking in apps in comparison to the App Store. Should I switch to the iPhone for the App Store? Do you think Android marketplace is going to improve? Android Marketplace is improving by leaps and bounds on a daily basis. You now have video that you can download from there, not just games. And it's almost on parity from 1-to-1 for what you can get in the App Store versus Android Marketplace. So every app I've ever needed that I've had on iOS, there's been an equivalent in Android Marketplace. So the idea that the Android Marketplace isn't up to par definitely isn't true anymore. There's a lot more, let's say, crapware floating around Android Marketplace than I'd say in the iPhone App Store, but if you can sort through some of that, there are some wonderful applications. So don't let the app stores deter you. If you're looking for an Android superphone though, definitely look at one of the Samsung Galaxy S2s or the upcoming Nexus Prime. Also, if you're on Verizon Droid Bionic, super hot phone. All right, so speaking of talking to your phones, let's talk about books talking to you. And I want to take a minute to thank our friends and sponsors at Audible. If you're busy, you don't have a lot of time to read as much as you'd like to, let the books read themselves to you. I just finished reading This Is Herman Cain, My Journey to the White House. Really interesting read. Go ahead and check out that book or a ton of other ones over at audible.com. So if you've got an iPhone, an Android device, you can listen to your Audible books right from there. plug a CD right into your car stereo, plug your iPhone or iPod Touch or Android device right into your car, and listen to your books while you're driving. That's what I did. It makes for an awesome way to get the books read to you, and you can kill two birds with one stone. You gotta drive anyway, you might as well listen to some books. Also, I do listen to a decent amount while I'm at the gym, so if I'm getting my pump on, I can have the books read themselves to me. If you'd like to go ahead and get a free book and show your support for the site, go to audiblepodcast.com/techno and get your free book. That is audiblepodcast/techno to get your free book. All right, let's go ahead and jump back to Ask the Buffalo questions. Our next question comes from user Noko, who asks, where did you come up with the name Techno Buffalo? Well, listen, it's just us. Do you want the honest answer, or do you want the answer that I tell people? The answer that I tell people is because I went to college in upstate New York. It's right near Buffalo, and I thought it sounded good. The honest answer, though, is when I started Techno Buffalo, I needed an available URL, and Techno Buffalo was available. I was a marketing guy before I started getting into tech, and the Buffalo name was something iconic that I could brand, and I thought I could make a very strong representation of what I wanted Techno Buffalo to be at the time. So it was a strong graphic image, and it was an available URL. So that is the honest to goodness answer for how we came up with Techno Buffalo. All right, so our last and final question comes from user Matthew Edwards, who asked a question that I get quite a bit. John, I'm currently on an iPhone 4 and I'm due for an upgrade. Which of the following should I upgrade to? The iPhone 4S, Samsung Galaxy S2, or BlackBerry Bold 9900? Well, I'm gonna assume that you are on AT&T since all those phones listed are AT&T devices. So that's a tough question. If you're happy with the iPhone 4 and you want a little bit faster speed and you want a better camera, go the 4S. However, the Galaxy S2 is an awesome phone. It's got that beautiful 4.3-inch Super AMOLED screen, which really jumps out at you. It's got that screaming fast dual-core processor in there. It's a tough one to turn down. If, however, you love a physical keyboard, try the BlackBerry Bold 9900. That keyboard is hands down the best option out there. So if you're a heavy texter, email is most important to you, that's the way to go. If you need a bigger screen, go the Galaxy S2. If you're happy living in iOS world, then upgrade to the 4S. But switch colors. If you've got a black one, go white. If you've got white, go black. Mix it up so it feels a little bit like a different phone. So don't look at the two next to each other. They're like, this is the same thing. Anyway guys, thank you for dealing with my ramblings and watching another episode of Ask the Buffalo. I'm your host, John Rettinger. You can catch my videos and a ton of other tech content, including late-breaking news, rumors, exclusives, and all the other tech geeky goodness over at technobuffalo.com. I'll see you guys in the next video. If you notice, actually, I have my, I'm dressed in Steve Jobs homage attire today. Jeans and black mock turtleneck. This episode of Techno Buffalo is brought to you by Audible and my unnecessarily deep DJ voice. Up next on The Quiet Storm. Whoosh.